Report here on Twitch Monster 27 and 105 The Drive. We appreciate everyone joining us for this speed report. So first of all, I just wanted to say a couple things. First off, thank you, Dunker, for joining us here in the booth for the speed report today. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So I just first of all wanted to say thank you very much for all the support for the speed report. Whenever I am not present and the speed report's not on the day that it was supposed to be on, many of you guys are like, "Hey, you're doing a speed report tonight." Makes me feel good because it lets me know that you guys enjoy the speed report and the content that is in, and that motivates me to continue to produce good content for you guys' enjoyment. And so that you guys can keep up with what's going on in the league. And I'm pretty sure you guys will enjoy hearing my family in the background too. So I'm pretty sure that's always a plus. All right, so as usual, you can check out everything KMR there on the website, www.thegamingriff.com. Trucks, X, and Cup Series, as well as news and overall stats, all there on the speed, or rather on the website, so you can check that out. And then, of course, you can check out our YouTube channels and affiliate broadcast stations. There are so many that it's going to be hard to name them. So I'm just going to have a whole separate broadcast just naming all of the stations. But you know that the regular ones are there. 105 The Drive, KMR TV, 105 The Drive. Be sure to also check out Dunker Wiz Twitch channel, as well as the Tons of Fun Broadcast Network, the official broadcast station for the KMR Cup Series. So we wanted to start off with, if you remember, last speed report, we talked about, well, before I do that, let's do this. Dates and times, because everyone I'm sure is, everyone I'm sure has been interested in knowing, when we're still working on the whole broadcast thing. I'm just gonna have to, get my own room. But anyway, all right. So yeah, everyone's been wondering, when is the series gonna pick back up? I hope everyone's enjoyed their break. There was an awesome NASCAR Cup Series Indianapolis race. It was surprisingly entertaining. Especially there at the end. It was really fun to watch that race. I enjoyed it. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And I was also thrilled to see that battle there at the road course there at Indianapolis. So yeah. I think the choice to not race that weekend was awesome because it gave us a break and gave us an opportunity to watch some good races over that weekend. But now it's time to get back into KMR rhythm. So Talladega this weekend, this Saturday, Truck Series, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. X Series, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. Cup Series will be on Sunday at the normal time, 5 p.m. We will be racing, and it will be a consistent every week for quite some time as we try to get through the season as quickly as possible. So we hope everyone, if you have any questions, run that back and listen to it again so that you'll have those dates. Now let's get into the series. Let's start with our Cup Series. Last speed report, we talked about Daytona, the effects of Daytona and all of the action and where, and everything. Now it's time to talk about Talladega. This is part B, if you will, of the speed report. So now it's time to talk about Talladega. And Dunker's going to be up here to help me out in analyzing this thing here, and we hope that you enjoy it. I do not have I guess I can pull up my comment ticker here so that I can, because I don't know where my tablet is. So yeah, so that I can see you guys' comments and everything. So it is connecting so that I can see you guys' chats and things like that. So feel free to leave messages there that we can talk about as usual. Let's first talk about our drivers that are going to be racing this weekend that did not make the Daytona 500, but they made the series. And we first have to talk about the biggest name out of that group, and that is the 20 of Fractured Chain. We know the 20 had that heartbreak electronic issue to start. dash number 2 for Daytona, which means he missed the 500. However, he has to race Talladega. He's guaranteed Talladega. Um, what are your thoughts about the position that Fractured is in? Do you feel that he has any pressure on him to perform well at Dega, or do you think that he is not really worried about it?
Well, I think you kind of got to be. I think he's got a little bit of pressure just because of where he is. He doesn't have any points, and the leader has 81, so he's got kind of a big hole to climb out of. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do at Dega, but also you got to realize how aggressive are you gonna like? How aggressive is he gonna be? Is he gonna be very conservative throughout the race just to get points and get on the board, or is he gonna be aggressive and try and get the maximum amount of points that he can? And if I think he takes the latter, where he wants to be really aggressive, he has a higher chance of DNFing. And if he DNFs at Talladega, that hole's just going to get bigger. And if he has two DNFs to start the season, the hole is just gonna it could eventually become too much to climb out of. So I think you got to be. I think there's a little bit of pressure on him to perform well, considering that two of his Joe Gibbs teammates, or his other two Joe Gibbs cars did not race, the 20 and the 11. The 11 didn't lagged out, and he's also a hot seat. So it'll be interesting to see what Fracture can do, kind of having the team on his shoulders, especially with Beloved's amazing performance. That was awesome. And now let's see if Fractured can go up to that caliber that Beloved did at the finish of Daytona. So I'm curious to see how aggressive he'll be at any point in the race. I mean, he could be conservative the entire race. He could be conservative the first part of the race and then be aggressive towards the end. So it'll be really interesting, especially as a driver's standpoint, to see how aggressive he'll be throughout the race and if he's going to capitalize on the points opportunity that lies in front of him.
Yeah, and so talking about the aggressiveness and how he should approach this. I mean, Daytona had 3 stages. You could kind of plan the stages to where you could have good runs toward the end of stages, or you could just run in the back knowing that you're going to have a caution. Talladega is not going to be a stage race. So what should the game plan be for the 20 to make sure he's in the right position? Should he ride in the back to try to avoid that DNF, or should he be aggressive trying to get to the front to put himself in positions to win?
Well, I think it's a 94 lap race at Talladega. That's a long race. So I think if I was in his position, I'd probably ride around maybe mid-pack towards the back, and just kind of bide my time throughout the laps. Just tick off the laps, do my pit strategy, and have a clean car towards the end of the race. And then with about maybe 15, 20 laps to go, I'll fire it up and I'll go try and get as many positions as I can because each position gives you more points on the racetrack. And so I think to avoid the DNF and to potentially avoid a big wreck, because I guarantee that's going to happen at Talladega. Um, I would just ride in the back and protect my equipment so that I'm there at the end and I have a really fast car at the end, so I'm able to get a top five finish, maybe to get a pretty decent amount of points for that race to make up for the missed 500.
Yeah, we know that when you look at Fracture Change resume, he has a Daytona 500 win. When you look at a Talladega, surely because of the fact that he's been in KMR for so long, he definitely has a Talladega win. But when you look at him in his restrictor plate resume overall, it doesn't stand out to you. He's not a favorite to win at Talladega. We also know that he is renowned and notorious for electronic issues at the wrong times.
Hmm.
Like, I don't know, trying to win a championship, electronic failure. Trying to get himself in the right position in points, electronic failure. So here's to hoping that he can get himself in the right position, that he doesn't have any electronic issues, and that he's able to go against the grain and go against what's been regular for him as far as his performance there at that racetrack. So he's going to need a lot of help as well to fulfill that, but we'll see what he can do. Fracture Chain has the race Let's talk now also about another driver that has to race, and of course, we got to go to that 00 because we don't have his number. But that is Hair Bear, aka Chris. We know that he has to run. What do you like his odds at Dega that he'll be a full time driver at the end of the race?
I do. I think he's kind of got that style of racing where he knows what like basically what is about to happen. He can kind of feel it in the pack of what's about to happen, and he'll back out of a situation if he feels like it's going to be too much or it's going to cause a wreck, and he doesn't want to be a part of that. And I think that's kind of smart as a driver to be able to have that awareness on the racetrack and figure out what the other cars are doing around you. And either put yourself in that situation or keep yourself in the situation or pull yourself out. And I think for his driving style, he knows when to pull himself out, and it usually happens at the right time. So I think he'll be there at the end just because of his awareness of what's going on around him. And we saw what he did in the X Series race at Daytona. Didn't have a good finish, so potentially he's going to be looking for some revenge on the restrictor plate side. So I could see him being up at the front towards the end of the race.
Yeah. So with Hair Bear getting in, um, what do you think his mentality, just like Fracture, what should his mentality be? We've seen Hair Bear have a successful Daytona where he got a stage win, but really outside of that, his restrictor plate presence doesn't really stand out. Um, what should be his mentality? Should he be someone who should be aggressively pushing, or should he ride it in the back to try and preserve the car? What should be the mentality for the 15?
I think it's kind of the same as with Fractured. He doesn't have any points to fall back on, and so he's in that same hole as the 20. And so I think in a 94 lap race, again at Talladega, you got to be conservative. I think more to the conservative side. If an opportunity presents itself, obviously you should try and take advantage of it, but not too much where you destroy your car or half the field. So I would probably ride around in the back, maybe mid pack at highest, but I want to be there at the end. I want to have my equipment ready to go for the final maybe 10, 15 lap shootout. Because we're gonna get cautions. It's a guarantee we're gonna probably have a caution at Talladega. And so you can work on your car and get it ready for that final stretch, and to get the amount of points that you want. So I think he's got to be conservative towards the beginning. Got to be patient. Just let the opportunity present itself. Don't force something that's not there, and capitalize on the points payout at the end of the race.
Yeah, we also know that Chris and CMR came to an agreement, renegotiating his deal that he agreed to in the off season. How much is something like that? How much can that be a distraction to your season, especially when you have a start where you missed the Daytona 500? Do you think that can be a distraction at all to a season? And how should him and how should the team approach or the rest of the season?
Well, I think the team needs to just kind of work with him a little bit. It's only one race. He is scheduled to run the rest of the season. And Herbert's a really good driver. He's really good at, behind the wheel of any car. And so I think it might take some time. It's not going to happen right away. And that's kind of the cool thing about CMAR is they don't push drivers to do their best right away. They understand that it takes time, especially for these younger guys. It takes time to have success in the highest series because it's hard. The competition is there. And so for him to kind of negotiate a contract, that might be a distraction a little bit, but that might help the driver, like, okay, I got to go perform. I got to do what I can do to impress the team, so that I can stay. And so I think that could be a distraction just a little bit. But for Hair Bear and what he's able to do, I don't think I do not think it will bother him, or cloud his mind very much.
Up, the 15 will be on display, and hopefully he'll be able to get himself into the series the way he intended to there at Daytona. All right, and our final driver that qualified in the dash and got into, qualified in the dash and made the 500, or rather, qualified in the qualifier and made the series, but wasn't able to make the 500, is the 22 of Mixer Ice. Now, when we think about Mixer Ice, we think about Ice Fighter. Many have met him in the N14 qualifier where he won his first race. He came in first race, first win, made it into the series. You know, one thing about Ice Fighter is speed was never a question. We know he has the speed. He's won a race as a sub driver. He's won a race at Daytona at a restrictor plate. And even what we saw last season in the races that he did show up, he had some speed in that car, Dunker. So what do you think he's going to be able to do now, given this opportunity to run with the top series again? He makes the series now, or makes the qualifier. Now it's his turn to try and, get himself into the series. What do you like about his chances in this race?
I think his chances are very good. If I didn't know that this was Ice Fighter, I would I would have never thought because his driving style has completely changed. He is way more confident behind the wheel. He's way more aggressive behind the wheel. He's just way more clean behind the wheel. It just feels good to actually race against him and not going to the garage 10 seconds later, going to the infield care center. It just he's just real he's gotten a whole lot better. His skills have improved, his awareness has improved, his driver communication has improved. Everything about him has improved. And you're right, speed was really never in doubt for him. He's always been fast. It's just that I think it was his mind. He just didn't think that he had it in him to go out and win. And so he would just try and do it. He'd try and take the easy way out. He'd try and dive bomb the corner. He would try and shortcut the corner, try and do a different pit strategy that never worked, thinking it would, and he'd always be off pace, and then he'd just be mad, and he'd try and ruin everybody else's races. But here, he kind of understands that it's a strategy. It's a strategy. You have to figure out what works, what doesn't, and if it doesn't work, what can I do to make it work? How can I improve it rather than just giving up on it? So I like his chances in any race just because he understands what it means to be a race car driver. He understands what it means to have strategy. He understands what it means to be aggressive. And so I think coming into Talladega, he's just mad. He's angry he didn't make the 500. He had a lot of momentum from the qualifier, knowing I'm going to be in the series. Let's get the 500. Let's move. Let's go down let's go down the season, and then he misses the 500. And so now I think he just wants to get redemption. He wants to come back out here and prove to the highest and probably the toughest field in KMR that he has what it takes to succeed, and he has and all the hard work that he's done and all the improvements he's made in the past has is showing, and that he actually has taken the time to learn the game and learn the strategy behind winning races. And so I like this 22 car. I think he's very dangerous on the track, and I definitely think he can sneak out a win at Talladega.
Yeah, let me ask you this because he joined the 22. Obviously, that's Team Penske. Team Penske was relying quite a bit on what used to be their team captain and former driver in KMR, who's now out on suspension, and that would be back in black, Slothy. How much is that going to affect this team and Mixer's chances on the racetrack?
Oh, it's going to affect it a lot just because your team captain, your leader, the guy you're going to look up to get information from is not there and will not be present the whole season. So that just puts a little bit more pressure on him interior to make the race, to make Team Penske successful and to make the team run smoothly. You know, usually you rely on a team captain to do that and to relay information to you and create that strategy. But now they got to do it for themselves. And Ice Fighter, I know now is in a position to kind of step up and and help out with Terrier and for those two to work together. He's got to be willing to work with a teammate. And so I think those two can definitely work together to make it work this season. And then it'll be because I like this. I like Ice Fighter. If he was in this situation right now with no team captain a couple of seasons ago or a couple of years ago, I would have no confidence in him. I would the team would fall apart. Everybody would just kind of be in a panic. It would be chaos, chaos. There'd be wrecked race cars each and every week, bad finishes. I would probably think the team would be shutting down, but no, I feel this team can get bigger and stronger as the season goes on, even if the team captain isn't there. Because Ice Fighter and Terrier, they know how to work together. They understand the racing, and I will be very interested to see them work together at Talladega and the rest of the season to keep Team Penske in contention for the title.
Well, we'll see as KMR ramps back up another season, and we'll see if he can get himself in a good rhythm there. We want to thank all our 5 viewers so far. We appreciate your support here for the Speed Report. And so now let's talk about our hot seat drivers now that did not make either the series or the 500, or rather have made the 500 and ran. We'll start with that group. Let's talk now Dawson, Josh. These two guys ran in the 500. Josh, not a good finish. Obviously, last place. 15 points. He's a hot seat. Dawson, not the best finish. He's got 10. He's in 10th place with 33 points. These guys that are coming in, to the series that have to run, how concerned do Dawson and especially Josh? We know Josh is very concerned right now, but how concerned does Dawson need to be about these drivers coming in here?
I think I'd be pretty concerned just because 33 points in a race is very small, and names like drivers like Fractured and Herbert can easily overcome that deficit and take and knock those guys out of the series. So I would be concerned even if I was Dawson up there sitting in 10th, because Fractured and Herbert they haven't been in the mix yet. The standings are without probably two of the biggest cup names on the roster. So for Josh, you just gotta hope and pray that they DNF really early and get no points. But for Dawson, you just gotta hope they get a bad finish. You hope you want them to DNF so that way they won't overtake you, and you can potentially race another day. But you just pray that they don't get a good finish, because if they get a good finish, that's guaranteeing them a higher points payout. There's no doubt that they'll be passed. So for those two, you just gotta worry and hope that come race day they have bad luck, they DNF, or they just don't show up. Those are probably really the only options you're hoping for. And there's really nothing you can do. You can go out and you can practice. You can get ready for maybe when you might come back. But you just sit there watching. You just sit there thinking helplessly that they're gonna pass you, and then it's gonna be this long waiting list before you're finally able to get back in a car and get back on the racetrack. And so for those two drivers, I would be extremely nervous come Sunday, when the 20 and the 15 take to the track.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. And the interesting thing about the point standings is the cutoff for team points is 12th. Dawson, with his finishes in 10th place, he does not qualify for team points for this week. So he cannot add to his total. JPS, Dale Jr., Dopey, Sam Cook, they're running for sure. Fractured and Chris and Mixer are going to be running. You cannot add to your total. However, look who's sitting 13th. Josh, the best game with that 15 points. He can get team points to assist him and potentially overtake the Dawson in the team point standings without even having ran a race as well. So that's going to be an interesting play out as well in how this thing is it can go on. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely feel like um, that they're just sitting ducks right now. There's really nothing you can do at this point to try and make the situation go away. But for Josh, you could definitely try and take advantage of team point. It will help a little bit. It won't help a lot. I guarantee Fractured will pass him in the point standings. Um, so for him, you use points. For Dawson, you just sit and hope. You just sit and hope. You're just sitting there nervous, and you just hope that something goes wrong with either one of those drivers, and they don't get any points, or they get the lowest amount of points possible for a race, so they don't overtake you. But Josh just needs a miracle. He needs both of those drivers to just not show up. And for the 11 and the 18 to only two of the three Joe Gibbs cars to race, it'll be very difficult for the team to use team points on Josh, knowing they still have to get another driver to get the maximum amount of points for. So I just for those two drivers, you just sit and hope that something goes wrong with the other two drivers coming in, and they just and for Josh, you could probably use a little bit of team points, but other than that, there's just really nothing else you could do.
Yeah. So we'll keep a close eye on that battle, and potentially what that means for the series. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what these teams decide to do. Here's a question from the chat before we move forward. Question from Welp Dang. He says, "How many call-up points do you need to run in the next series?" So, real quickly, let's explain how the call-up points work. Basically, what happens is you earn points, obviously, call-up points as you run based on your performance. Now, there's not a certain total that you reach that calls you up. How it works is you earn those call-up points, and when a position comes open in the next series, we will look at who's highest in the call-up points based on position or based on performance, and they will be asked to be called up, similar to how the hot seat work in the order that they work in. So it's no particular number that you reach, but you want to be the highest person in that call-up points battle. You will be asked, and we'll go down the line based on a performance. But obviously, the higher the points, the better the performance, the more likely you're going to get called up to the next series, especially the X series. All right, so one driver I want to talk about real quick before we move forward to the drivers that is already in as far as Talladega is concerned. The one of Pennzoil. Pennzoil had a spot in the Daytona race, and he was unable to show up for Daytona, which now pits him in a situation where he earned no points. He's a single car team right now, no teammates. He earned no points, and now is not even in a position as a hot seat, or potentially has to pray that a bunch of people miss the Talladega race for him to even get in. Is this the end of Pennzoil in the Cup Series? What do you think about that? Do you think that Pennzoil? What do you think he should do? Start preparing for next season?
I don't know. I think for Pennzoil, you gotta hope that a bunch of drivers missed the Talladega race. I'm a little confused at what's been going on with Pennzoil. He seems to be online each and every week and just doesn't seem to either doesn't want to race or just forgets that there's a race going on that week. So he's put himself in this big hole that probably really didn't need, probably really isn't necessary. Probably definitely could have been avoided to the point where he could be racing each and every week. So I'm very, very interested into what his mindset is right now, knowing that he probably just kicked himself out of the league. Probably not on purpose, just did it. Um, and definitely like gave up his spot. So I would if I were him, I'd probably figure out and probably realize that there's going to be races that we're racing every weekend and just start prepping each week and hoping that I can get my spot back and show off the Chip Ganassi team that was could have been very strong. So I'm very curious to see what he does going forward, knowing that he probably won't have a spot in the series and will most definitely, if not already, become a hot seat. I don't think he showed up for the qualifier. Um, I think he had a sub for the Daytona Dashes, and so I don't know what's just been happening with him. He seems to be ready to go, and then just doesn't hop into the lobby to race. So I don't know what's going on with the one at Pennzoil, but I would love to see the number one car out on the track.
Yeah, but I want to put this question out here just to see, what your thought process is, and something I was thinking about is you hear Little Monster in the background,
Yeah.
always speaking of one that just he saw his number, his age on the screen, and I guess he's whizzing out. But anyway, should should he consider talking about Pennzoil? Should he consider going to or trying to vouch to get to another team, possibly Penske or a team that has drivers on it, to so that he can get team points to put himself in a position if he's still interested in running? Because as of right now, he can't add to his total. He literally has to wait until until his name gets called, while these guys that are on the team, Dawson, Josh, they fall below the cutoff. They can get team points, and their team could keep giving them team points until they either get to the top 12 or get into the right position, get into the series, the top 16. All that could potentially happen. What are your thoughts on that?
I think for Benzo, he's just in a very sticky situation. I like the idea of him trying to vouch for himself and get on a different team where he could begin to get team points and at least have that big donut hole next to his name go away and have that number go up. But I just don't think anybody is going to want to, especially if he doesn't show up, because that is a big factor in whether or not someone is going to sign you. Is your attendance record, and if you have a very poor attendance record of showing up to each race, you're not going to get a spot. And for the fact that he was able to get the one and then just doesn't show up, I'm very confused as to what his mindset is at this point. So for me, if I was in his position, I would probably start. I would ask for around and see if I could get on a team, get a car, and prepare myself for a potential return to the series. And if none of that, and if all that goes down the drain, I'm I'm just gonna prepare for next season and press the big restart button because this hole that he is in is very deep, is extremely deep, and I don't have a shovel in my collection that will reach far enough down to him where he can dig himself out. So
Oh,
I
you have that Minecraft shovel sitting around somewhere.
maybe, but I just I just think he's dug himself. He's finished the job on this one, and he's just kind of potentially ended his season prematurely this year, and so he might return, but I'm gonna guess season 42 next season is gonna be where he could probably do more damage. And for the record, no, the diamond shovel does not exist, guys. Okay. If I had a diamond shovel, I'd bail him out. I promise. I'd bail him out.
Well, we'll definitely see what he decides to do, and what the future is going to be for the one. And obviously, he it definitely could be a sub. He's obviously still on the roster for the X Series as well, so we'll see what he can do with that. We'll get to that in a moment. We have a few more hot seat drivers. we're not gonna get into an extreme, detail analysis of them. But we haven't done it in a while, so let's do it. Let's take it three wide. 32, 1, and Wool Tortoise. Between those three, who do you think gets into the series first?
Um, I like Wool Tortoise. I like what I was kind of interested into what Flair did, but he just kind of lost it all in the dash race and just kind of was running around at one point. So I'm gonna go with Wool Tortoise. I think he could definitely get into the series first.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Wool Tortoise has not even claimed a ride. So that's an interesting question or interesting, observation. Is he going to want to run this season, or is he going to take this season off? We never know what he decides to do, but he is on the hot seat list. And so he is eligible to run if there's a position open, but he's at the very bottom. So long way to go before we get to his name. Now let's talk about some drivers that are in the regular position. Do you in the Cup Series? Do you have your totals pulled up? Do you know who's where?
In the point standings, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So what stands out to you about the point standings? What driver would you look at? Who you want to start with that stands out to you? It could be good, bad, ugly, or whatever.
I'm gonna start with positions 1 and 4. We got Speed B, the leader, at 81, and then we've got in fourth Annihilator with 69. I like that. That stands out to me because we talked about it in the preseason, how interesting and how unexpected it would be to see HMS come out strong. And we were all proven wrong. We thought they were going to be rusty. We thought they were going to, have bad races. That we're going to probably take them at least half the season to finally get something going. They just shot out of a cannon and just put their foot down and said, you ain't talking about us like that. And they just came out. They had a driver win and they had a driver finish third. That blows my mind. The fact that HMS comes out, wins the first race. Little Cookie Monster wants to get into the action, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't agree
He's
with
like,
me.
I agree. I agree.
There you go. But no, the fact that the 48 and the 88 are sitting top 5 in point standings with it, both cars getting a top 3 finish is that's incredible. I love the fact that I was proven wrong to that magnitude. So that also stands out to me. Spheric Rope in the 5 in 5th place, in the 24th. So HMS is top 5. Okay, you told me that in the preseason, I would have thought you were crazy. So to see that is awesome. To see HMS coming back in the series with that kind of a start is pretty impressive. The only thing I'm going to be interested to see in the future is how long will this hot streak or this hot start continue? Like, will it last one race? Is it a fluke? Is it a one and done, or is it going to continue for multiple races? So that's something that I'll be interested to see in. Another thing that stands out to me is in 14th and 15th. Actually, before we get to that, another thing that stands out to me is in 6th place in the standings. Beloved Car with 50 points. We talked about him in the preseason. If this was going to be his last season, or if last season was going to be his last season, if Beloved Car was done, and talking to him before we got to Daytona, he said that the bad, all the negative things we said about him in the speed report gave him the fire inside to run hard, and we saw that. The last restart in the 500, he was up at the front. He was running third. It's like the 18 is running third, huh? My game must be glitching or something. So to see Beloved up there to start off the season like that is awesome, and that is something that stands out to me as well. I would love to see him continue on that streak, just to get good finishes, to have a good season, if this would to be his final season. So that stands out to me. But then way down at the bottom, 14th and 15th on the standings with 15 and 8 points, we've got probably two of the most veteran drivers in KMR. We've got Dopey Lion, sitting at 15 points in 14th position, a whole two handfuls behind the leader. And then you've got Sam Cook rounding out the standings with 8 points. And those guys to get DNFs, for Dopey Lion to get a DNF on the final corner of the final lap in the 500 is devastating. That hurts. So what stands out to me is I see the asterisk next to his name. He's locked into the chase, but he's so far down on the standings. He's got a big hole that's kind of you. If you think this is a typo, you'd always see Dopey Lion towards at least the top five in the standings. So that stands out to me. Same with Cookie. Same with Sam Cook. He had a great 500 going. The miscommunication with myself kind of hurt us. I put him in the back. It was just a lack of communication, mostly on my part. So that I extended my apologies to that. Don't flame me in the chat, but and then he was just in the back because of that pit road accident, and he just DNF'd, and that it's frustrating to know that you probably played a part in that. And I always think about it that I probably played a small part in that in the role of him being back there. But the fact that probably two of the championship drivers from last season are starting off this season at the bottom, that stands out to me as well. So there's a lot of things on these throughout the point standings from positions 1 to 15 that stand out to me, and I think those are some of the major ones that stand out to me. So it'll be interesting to see if HMS can keep up the pace and stay at the top of the board. It'll be interesting to see if Dopey Lion can rejoin his SHR teammates at the top half of the field, and it'll just be it'll be exciting to see those two at the bottom try and work their way up to the top and be a little bit more aggressive on the racetrack, knowing they have to get more points to get back up to the top half of the standings. So it'll be an exciting season for sure.
A lot to look forward to. Now, let's put this in perspective too. We know that probably is not going to happen, but let's just speculate just for a second before I give my expert opinion or on what I not expert opinion before I give my opinion on what I see about the point standings that stand out to me. But think about this: Dopey Lion, of course, has the stage win. He's locked in. But if you remember, in order to remain locked in the Cup Series, obviously attendance is big. However, you have to stay in the top 16 in points. And when you look at it, he's in 14th. So if we were to put this thing in perspective here, let's just say hypothetically that he were to DNF again at Talladega. And let's just say also hypothetically that Mixer, Chris, and Fractured all get top fives and jump him in points. Then that means that Dopey's going to be outside of the top 16. So if the chase were to start at that moment, which it wouldn't, but if it were to start at that moment, he wouldn't make it, even though he has that stage win. So that's really really interesting as well, these guys. And that applies to myself as well down there at the bottom of the point standing. But I had to say the same thing about HMS, man, and the success that they have had to start the season. I was pleasantly surprised at that. And it just goes to show, man, veteran leadership. These guys coming back, these are all veterans and have been around the league for quite some time. Both of these guys were in situations where they almost won championships. Spheric Rope, really successful over a long period of time. So these guys have seen it all, and they raced at a period of time where there was no aggressive driving, okay? So, they were ready for what was thrown at them. You could tell that they put in the work. You could tell that there was a little bit of rust there, but they were able to overcome a lot of the rust that was there. Also something else that surprised me some in a different way. JPS 11th place. Didn't see that coming. Obviously, he had help with an electronic issue. I believe that had he been able to finish that race, he would have had a much better finishing position. But I think that that's going to be very, very interesting because he had a lot of confidence coming into the season. And so here's the question that I have for JPS. In the past, he's allowed things like this to derail his seasons. He's allowed things like this to kill his confidence. Can he maintain his confidence throughout this season? Because now he's going to have to work his way up. And I'm sorry, there are 15 extremely competitive drivers in the series. It's not going to be a cakewalk. And he's headed to Talladega where he has had success, but what if he goes in and doesn't have success there, and the next track is Homestead, and the track after that's the Roval? Can he bounce back from not having success in the first couple races? So I think that's big. That was a big surprise to me. And then, of course, you look down here, CMR is all over the place. Ghost Train, West, myself, and then, of course, Chris still has to race. So can CMR, can my team bounce back and get back to where, get back up into competition? We got all season to do it. So no, we can't, win the championship on the race number 2. But can we get that rhythm? There's been a lot of things going on in our off season, so getting that rhythm back and getting ourselves back in the running is going to be very, very interesting for Talladega. So yeah, let's go ahead real briefly while we got a little bit of time. Let's talk about our lower series because they will be running not a whole lot that we know. Let's start with our truck series here. We know a little bit about our truck series, but sorry guys in the chat, I'm going to have to pause the chat for a minute while I go back to the. There we go. Okay, so obviously we look at the truck series. The expectation was that we were going to have quite a few drivers to run. As you can see, 8 ran out of the 14. So there's still plenty of space. But as we head to Talladega, what are your expectations for the field?
Well, considering what happened at Daytona, where they had, I think, one caution, I'm expecting tandem racing as I am for the other 2 series. More or less the Cup Series, I'm sure that's going to be more pack racing. But definitely for the X and the Truck Series, I'm expecting two truck tandems, probably the whole race. They're only going 24 laps, so it's a relatively short race. But it's still long enough where strategy will definitely play a big factor. And 2 trucks pushing each other are way better than 1 truck running by yourself, and it will totally be the advantage. So I truly see 2 truck tandems potentially for the win. I think that's going to be the move to try and get yourself in the winning position. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm also kind of expecting maybe a little bit less cautions. We expected a bunch of a caution fest at Daytona. We only got 1, I think. So I think these truck drivers are more experienced than maybe we think, and so they know how to race, and they might get a little bit risky, and we might see some yellow flags, but I think it's just going to be a majority of the green flag run and majority 2 truck tandems. So it'll be very exciting to see what they can do. 2 restrictor plate tracks, Talladega just a little bit different with the start finish line, so the finishes could get really wild.
Yeah, you've got Josh there now. Obviously, we talked at length about Josh and what his Cups race was like. But what do you expect from him in the truck series? Uh, is he going to use this as a stepping stone and a motivation to try and be as successful as he can in the lower series?
I think you got to do that. I think knowing that you won't race on Sunday, you want to prove yourself. You want to prove that you belong in the Cup Series. That's everybody's goal. You want to be in the highest series in anything, and to start out in the lower series, and for him to pretty much have a chance to run all 3 series. I think knowing that he might miss the Cup Series, or might have to wait, he still has racing. It's not like he just all of a sudden is out of KMR forever and there's nothing to do and he has to wait till next season. He still has the truck in the X Series, and I think he can use these as learning points, especially for the X Series because they kind of have a similar car style to the Cup Series. But for the Truck Series, just just go out there and race. You just go out there and race and have a good time. Don't think about the Cup Series in the middle of the truck race. Focus on your truck. Focus on your race in the Truck Series, and focus on winning every race. That is your goal as a driver, is to have the best strategy at the end of each race and to have the winning truck and to capture that checkered flag each and every week. And so that is his goal and should be his goal for this weekend. And don't worry about the Cup Series because and for him, he's not going to get a ride guaranteed, most likely on Sunday. So he should focus on his X and truck career. And for him, he's sitting fifth in points in the truck series in the standings. He's 20 points out of the lead. He could overcome that in one race very easily. So you gotta focus all on the truck race, Talladega, and just focus on not DNFing. If he DNFs, his confidence is gonna go down. His mindset is just gonna go down. Because then you just feel like you can't have success in any series in anything, and that's certainly not true. He's very talented, so I think you just gotta try and avoid those DNFs. You want to be aggressive, but you want to be smart. You have a lot on your mind, but you got to figure out a way to balance it all and put it all in the back of your head and focus on the task at hand, and that is taking your truck to victory lane. So for him, it'll be I'm excited to watch him and see what he can do and see what kind of different moves he will make, knowing that he is under a little bit of pressure trying to prove himself in the lower series.
All right. Okay, yeah, make sure my mic was still live. All right, we'll keep an eye on Josh to make sure. Okay, I've been muting it back and forth, because
Yeah.
little monsters, wide awake. But anyway, so we'll see what he's gonna be able to do, Josh, using that as a stepping stone. Again, 8 out of 14, so there are 6 more spots left. Feel free to invite your friends, those that may be interested in racing. Invite them to KMR. Let them run in the truck series. There are definitely spots open. And, of course, that hot seat, once those spots are filled, hot seats are always open when we need spots. So feel free to spread the word about KMR. It definitely helps KMR grow and make it fun for everybody. And so while we still have a little bit of time, let's chat just a minute about our X Series and X Series 14 drivers. We got 8. Dunker, you're a part of this group, though. You obviously did really good there at Daytona, but you were bested by none other than Josh the Best.
Yep.
So, what do you think about your chances of bringing home, obviously, a championship in the X Series, and how do you feel about how important it is for your X Series to help you in Cup?
Oh, I feel it's very important. To get a championship in X would be awesome. I would really enjoy to have that on my resume. Sit next to the Cup championship. Any championship in KMR is always special, no matter what series it's in. So to get an X Series championship would be fantastic, and it would definitely help in Cup. I'm using this season for the X Series as learning. I'm using it because most of the tracks that the X Series runs on, the Cup Series will race on it the next day. So I kind of have a little bit of practice on the track that I'm going to race for Cup. But I will never forget the Daytona race where Josh won. He did nothing wrong. He deserved the win. He earned it. Congrats to him on it. And we're gonna try and get another one tomorrow. I really do feel like we can get it done on the restrictor plate tracks. I love restrictor plate tracks. Our SHR Haas Automation Ford Mustang 00 is really fast. It's fast everywhere. It was fast at Daytona. We led almost every lap, and then we had a bad pit stop. So, but no, again, a championship to my name in the X Series would be awesome. But to beat Chris, the defending champion, is going to be tough. He may have had a bad Daytona race, but that's only one race. That doesn't define your season. So for him to bounce back in the next couple of races is going to be big, and I'm going to be ready for it. And it's going to be an all-out battle to the end between all of us. Anybody has a chance each week to win a race. And as I've been told in my life, on any given day, any team or anybody can win. So you don't count anybody out, and so you just got to expect it. So I'm expecting anything to be thrown at me each and every week in the X Series.
And we're gonna have fun watching you in the X Series get it done week after week. So
Hopefully you don't run. You can't run tomorrow. You're not allowed to. I'm banning you from the X
Why not?
Series.
You're banning me from Talladega. I mean, hey, my car is always ready. hopefully Spheric Rope will be able to hop in there and run. Uh, well, that's all the time we're gonna have allotted for this. We appreciate all our 7 viewers. We got up to, I think 8 was our max for today. We appreciate all the support, and hey, if you're enjoying the Speed Report, be sure to invite your friends and those that tune into the Speed Report, offer support, ask questions, whatever, and invite them to KMR. KMR is open, obviously the Truck Series, and working their way up to potentially be in Cup. So with that being said, I'll take these last few minutes to say this. I know that here recently, NASCAR 15. Wow, NASCAR Heat 5 was released. Yeah, KMR will not be switching. That I will repeat that. KMR will not be switching to NASCAR Heat 5. We will run on Heat 4 and Forza Motorsport 7, and we will continue to do that until there is evidence that this is time to make a change. And that change will be to PC, namely iRacing, is when that change will occur. So, again, hopefully spread the word. You 7 viewers out there, if you're in KMR, please spread the word so that like 10,000 people won't come asking me if we're going to Heat 5. Because, I'm just going to be like, watch the Speed Report. If minute 56, I said, we're not switching. Staying on Heat 4. For the betterment of KMR and its success. So we appreciate you guys giving attention to that. And so I can't think of anything else except for this. We're headed to Dega, boys.
Woo.
Let's go. Truck Series pole winner and race winner.
I got Loudon. I got Weltdang getting the pole. I think he can build upon what he did last 2 weeks ago at Daytona. He can potentially get the pole. I think Tons could make a statement if he gets up there. So I'm gonna go Loudon pole, Weltdang pole, and we got Tons getting the win.
Awesome. X Series pole winner, race winner at Dega.
Oof. I'm gonna sweep. I'm putting myself a sweep. I'm gonna be so biased here. I'm gonna sweep.
Well, that means now I got to say something. No, I'm playing. All right. Well, we'll see. Putting a lot of pressure on yourself. We'll see if you can do it. Yeah. I'll make sure I race now. Anyway, and then Cup race, pole winner, race winner. You can't sweep both.
This is tough. I'm not gonna sweep both. I might get a win. I don't know, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say Paint gets pole. I'm gonna say Lion gets win. Lion's gonna rebound and try and get himself out of the hole a bit. I'm gonna say Lion's gonna come up with a victory. Paint is gonna continue a decent start from Daytona. He's gonna get the pole, and yeah, I got SHR pole win.
Awesome. Well, the only way to find out if those will happen is if you tune in to Talladega this weekend. I wish I could say a definite who's going to be broadcasting, but I can't. But just tune in to Twitch. Somebody, Twitch Monster 27. You can tune in to Twitch channel Jaron Hazen, Twitch channel Dunker Wiz. Somebody will be broadcasting the Talladega race this weekend. And so for your enjoyment and with different vantage points of the race. And so until then, this is KMR out.